There we go.
Hey,
Okay.
can you hear me okay?
Yay. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. You?
Good, good.
Let me get this set up straight.
Nice to
Yeah.
see you. We have a lot of people hopping on here. We'll give them a couple minutes. So where are you right now? You're in your studio?
Yeah, just in the studio. I'd love to say that I'm working right now, but
Oh my
it's been a
God.
couple of weeks outside.
Now, where are
But,
those tensile jeans I sent you, Ian? Are they in that
do
pile?
you know what? They're actually
I'm
in a
joking.
box around that. They're actually in a box down that way.
Okay. No,
'Cause
that's fine.
I kept them all together.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how you keep it all straight. It's amazing.
So,
So, yeah, I wanted to catch up with you, and I know you've been using the time to kind of reflect and not get so involved in some of the conversations. So I do appreciate that you're joining us today. And I know we were chatting yesterday. It was really such a somber day. And so it was nice that we had this plan for today after the past couple of days with some of the society talks. And I know you've been very involved in developing your project with the clapping hands. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit more about that?
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, first, it's difficult times to talk, and it feels strange talking about anything other than, especially what's going on over in New York. You're often in New York.
Yeah,
We've met each other quite a few times in New York, and it's sad to see, but I'm hoping something quite positive comes out of it, and I'm listening. There's things which maybe I won't ever understand.
right.
Um, but yeah, yesterday was actually supposed to be the launch of the next stage of the clapping, what's it's evolved into. So it's been an exciting time. So Monday night we actually projected on, and nobody knows this yet.
Okay. Hearing it first here.
But anybody who's made the time to come and join us here, I thought I might as well share. So we projected on the London South Bank Centre in the shadow of London Eye, and launched a project with Ringo Starr, Keira Knightley, a few Olympic medalists, and little old me.
Great.
So the clapping hands is now
Yes.
is
So a little
now
clapping hands for
on
that.
a pin badge,
Yeah.
which goes towards a charity for the NHS charities, which it's not the hospital service. It's a lot of the charities connected to it, and it's also for volunteering works. Because what's kind of strange is that I'm there's a lot of celebrities involved. Like, and I'm not a big fan of the word celebrity, but some of, let's say, iconic names.
Yeah.
Ringo Starr. As dames and people with MBs on the end of the name. And they've, done great work doing some designs, but really the untold story is all the volunteers coming together behind the scenes, doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
There's, dozens of them who have come together, and, I went down to the South Bank the other night to actually watch it, all socially distanced, and, uh, so many people behind the scenes coming together to do things, from people who are normally doing charity work to there's film directors there. you know
Right.
it's um it's very humbling. And I was actually asked by Jenny Bevan, who is Oscar winning designer, costume designer. She's won the Oscar twice. She's won the BAFTA over here many times, and over the last few years became quite a personal friend. So when a few years ago she met me at my exhibition, and it's just evolved from there.
Yeah. Great. That's
Mm.
great. So how did you
So
come up with the
I'd also like to say
yeah.
as well, thank you very much for a very, very nice donation, and backing me, not just now but for several years now.
Yes.
It truly means a lot.
Well, no, I'm so touched by many of the different ideas and how people are relating to the current issues, and so happy to support what you're doing. And, I think we've all seen how this has impacted us, and, people that perhaps we didn't think of previously, and essential workers and frontline workers. And, it does, like you were saying in the beginning, it's almost insignificant what we do. And yet what we do does impact many other people around the world. But when it comes down to the basic need of health, it's so important. And raising this awareness right now and making sure that everyone has the right funding to do what they need is very important. But how did you come up with the idea for the clapping hands? Where did that come from, and
It's
how
funny
long?
because where I'm actually sat here is where I actually made them
Yeah,
in the studio, and it was pure by accident. It was, in the first few weeks, I think I said to you that, yeah, I'm not doing lives, I'm not doing Zooms.
yeah,
It became too much, and I've got museum shows to get on with. I tried to just like try and use the time just to go quiet,
right,
and then my son loved the clapping every Thursday in New York. It's at 7 o'clock every night,
yeah,
which strangely became, everyone seemed to become more passionate about it. In England, it was a 10th week last week, and let's see, it might have been the final one because politics in our fine countries is not sometimes at its best, let's say, and
yes,
it got pulled into politics. But the whole idea of who do you clap for really resonated because it wasn't everybody's proud of the health service and everybody doing things, but it was the postman that we see every day, or
yeah,
there's I've got to be careful what I say because there's some more parts of the project to come up, but there's things that we've identified all the different people that we clap for on the front line, and there's so many and many that you forget.
right,
But that was great about doing it on the Angel of the North, which is iconic sculpture up in the northeast of England. And on one of the arms, it said "I clap for," and the other one it just rotated all the different names. So went from postal workers to nurses, doctors, all the obvious ones.
yeah,
To and I never like that phrase too because you always end up saying something. It's not like an extremity of something.
right, right,
But there's so many people having to go out there to work.
yeah,
And I've been on my computer all day, and I'm trying to work out if I need my glasses on right now
yeah,
because I get really dizzy. It's my reading glasses, and I hate wearing glasses.
yeah,
But as I said, I've been doing a lot of work on the computer in the last few days, emailing and helping design the new website. Uh, so after a few hours, my head is just killing me.
yeah, yeah. And so a couple of people have asked, tell us what the website is. It's give us the link there, and we'll also add it in afterwards,
Yeah.
and how they can donate.
The exciting, well, there's two exciting ones now. One is iclap4.com, which I had some help from some friends in New York, and they actually managed to get that website for $11.
Oh, wow.
And now it was not that we did it to be worth something, but I think as
Yeah,
soon as we got it, it was like, well, it was worth a little bit more.
yeah,
So that was like really good, and obviously that question was a really good one. But the pin badge one is pinyourthanks.org,
okay,
and on there you can find a pin badge of the clapping hands as well as Ringo Starr, who did a very kind of 60s kind of piece kind of feeling one. Keira Knightley, who's got two birds, and I think Dame Sarah Story, who won the Olympic for cycling, did a bike with the rainbow on, because obviously here
right.
the rainbow became so synonymous with everything. And I mean, there's quite a few British stars which maybe you won't be as familiar with, but on the rainbow,
Yeah.
I got a delivery today. Ah, I don't know. I think you were involved with these.
Oh, yeah. Yes. The
I think there's is it Model which is inside it?
those. Well,
Oh,
which
it's
fabric
some.
is that?
Um, you know that I'm not a denim expert. Cone deep tone
It
denim.
is the cone salvage. Yes.
Yeah. So I know you were involved with part of the Rainbow Project.
Yeah.
So obviously that was for Pride Pride week and Pride month even. But over here especially, it took on a new meaning with the rainbow symbol. A lot of children have been putting on windows.
Yes.
And no, it's my mum rang up and she didn't ask me as an international artist to do a rainbow. She asked my son to actually make it. So we did a picture and we sent it up, and we actually beamed that on the Baltic, which is a big iconic building in Newcastle. So there's a picture of my son drawing it and then holding it, and then my mum in a window with it.
Oh, that's great.
So that was quite nice. I'm seeing some rainbow emojis coming up here.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us some of the other buildings that the Clapping Hands has been projected on.
So it was, I mean, the interesting thing for me was that it went from John O'Groats, which you'll have never heard of, I'm sure,
Yeah.
to Land's End, but it's the furthest point of Scotland to the furthest southern point of England. So it's the whole island of Britain that was covered from north to south, with Edinburgh Castle and the V&A Dundee in between in Scotland, Inverness, Loch Ness. To a lot in Yorkshire, to many in Newcastle, to the BT Tower in Birmingham, which was the tallest building in Birmingham, which is our second city, and that's not Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, yeah.
It was in Manchester. I know you've got a Manchester there as well.
Yeah.
Other Wales. There's quite a few in Wales in the last few days, just before last Thursday, when we kind of managed to get to Land's End. There's Bristol. Then here in London, I did quite a lot in East London, so that was quite emotional on Monday night, driving to the South Bank, driving past the ones where I first did it when it was still like really dark at night.
Yeah.
Because I actually started doing this about 4 or 5 weeks before I actually told anybody.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I don't think
Why did you wait so long to start to
it
tell
was
people?
it was never meant to be this. It was
Okay.
never meant to it was never meant to like be on a pin badge with Ringo Starr and collaborating with an Oscar winner and
Yeah.
being on every other city in this country, and then a dozen. It was in Australia yesterday.
Wow.
It's Colombia and Mexico City, so many places.
Yeah.
So it was never meant to be that, and obviously you won't feel it there, but every Thursday became a lot of pressure. So I sent it to a few friends in the National Health Service here, and they kept saying each week, "Oh, you're going to put it out this Thursday," and I thought about it, and then I didn't, because it was something that me and Elliot did. I thought I might put it in a museum show later in the year to go along with some other things, but then we'd projected it, and I think it was 3 weeks after even starting to project it that I didn't even tell anybody, because I don't know, like we live in a world now where people want to bring people down, and even in the first weeks, I saw a lot of artists, a lot of people in Denim, doing a lot of things, and it looked really good, and people did it for the right reasons, but tone of voice has been so hard.
Yeah.
And there's a few things where I was like, oh, I wouldn't have done that,
Right.
and I didn't want to come across the same way by accident. I was not accusing anybody or anything. It was just like each day, I actually think this week we're into a complete new era again.
Yeah. Yeah.
From the start, it feels like a complete new era again, where we have to adapt, and the news cycles are always different.
Yeah, it is
And
amazing to see some of the conversations, some of the feelings that, going from that fear in the very beginning, this unknown, to, how it's evolved. And yeah, I remember also at the start, it was, you felt insensitive talking about it. You didn't know, was someone being impacted, was someone in their lives, a victim of coronavirus. And, I think now, as we look to sort of rebuild, the questions, the thoughts, the emotions are quite different.
yeah, for sure, it's I mean, you never knew who was impacted. You never knew, who was still having to go out to work. Just in conversations, whose mom, whose dad, whose uncle,
Yeah.
whose neighbor, and it was, I don't know, like with the question you had before, it was like, it was something me and Elliot did never intended to go out, and I didn't want to put it out there to look like I was trying to capitalize on it.
Right.
Like, then suddenly councils like, Greensbury in North Carolina put it up, and they were saying, where do we put your name? And I was like, do not put my name on it.
Yeah.
And, at the end, a lot of councils and people have put, I'm clapping for XYZ hospital from Leicester Council or Derby Council, for example. And, I just said, look, it's not about my clapping act. Another thing that was supposed to launch this week was 6 more clapping hands, which were not mine.
Oh, okay.
So I think there's 5 or 6. I'm trying to remember. One's Elliot's, so he's done one now. Not in Denim. So I've got a few different artists have sent theirs to me, which completely amazed me. Wamna did theirs, so he's sent one, but other artists with different mediums. So like, I did a call out to say, does anybody want to do their hands?
Right.
Because as an artist, hands and teeth are the hardest things, well, the hardest things for me to do. And I know traditionally hands are really hard to do. Thing of that, because people are doing a lot harder things than I've been doing.
Right.
But I can't do hands.
Yeah.
So in all my work, hands are hidden.
Yes.
So I think about 2 or 3 weeks before I actually showed what I was doing, I think I did a post just saying, look, I can't, look how many hands are hidden here.
Yeah.
Behind the table. Like, it's so hard to do hands.
Right.
Um,
Well, no, you did it. You did it so well. And I want to know, have you met Ringo Starr then? Have you met Keira Knightley?
no,
You haven't?
not even on a Zoom.
No? Okay.
No, I mean, the other night I met, and there's going to be a few more collaborations coming up in future. I want to do a shout out to Hannah at Black Horse Lane, who's helped on one of them.
Yeah.
But Hans, I just want to say as well, like, a lot of people have been doing a lot of different things of masks. Like, friends at Cone, for
Right.
example, down in North Carolina, and Evan Morrison making masks, but doing them really, really properly. With Burlington, and over here, Black Horse Lane has been making scrubs for a lot of people and doing it very quietly. And sometimes I think it's better for other people to talk about you than talk about yourself.
Yeah.
I find it very. So I can't remember the question where I just went off on one
Oh,
there, but
we were talking if you had
yeah.
met Ringo
Oh
and
yeah, okay, no,
Keira.
Ringo,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So no, obviously in this time we can't really meet
Right.
anybody, can we? So no, I know there's going to be a lot more events coming up to do with it, and um, interactions, let's say, and collaborations. But again, it was going to be the launch yesterday,
Right.
and nobody's begrudging having to postpone it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I think it's quite humbling in many ways. Because everybody, a lot of volunteers, and I was quite close to them, put a lot into it. But
Yeah.
there is no sadness or anything. I think it was, everyone's doing it for the right reasons, and I think yesterday they realised that there's a lot of big things going on in the world, and it's it's that had to have its place and a voice and understanding.
Right. No, for sure.
Mm.
And so do you have a goal for how much money you want to raise? Or where do you see that?
I have to admit, fundraising in this time is not easy. I'm not someone who goes out and has been shouting, "Oh, please donate." And it's only a side point of the actual thing. It was actually to create a platform to give the thanks, and now to give messages on there. Officially, I guess overall it was about 10,000. I think it's just short of 7 or something now.
Yeah.
But I think with the pin badges, even though that goes into another fund, it's the same charities. I think it will surpass that. But yeah, I think had I started about 4 weeks earlier when the idea came, it might have worked but I think a lot of people, as you know now, are very scared about the economy and
Yeah.
tightening up. And
Their own jobs. It's
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's, and I don't want to be insensitive to be asking people for donations when, I know what it's like. In the first week, I lost a big job in the first week, and I live in London with a big studio,
Yeah.
so I'm worried for the next year, but you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. A little message to put out there on that is the last financial crisis, I lost my job, and became an artist. So hopefully, there's some inspiring things to come from it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say like, terrible things happened to people in the last financial crisis, and I, saw it personally.
Right.
Um, but creative people will find ways of doing things,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, for sure.
you've got to adapt. And not many people have talked about this for a few weeks, but I think the environment, well, we've all been hearing about and talking about for many years. We've seen a lot of the reaction. The canal is outside here, and I can see the bottom of it now.
Yeah.
We
No,
actually went sailing on it the other day.
you did really.
Yeah, 5 hours.
Wow. No, the changes and the animals now that we see, I know for me it's birds that I don't know whether I wasn't looking for them or now they're just coming out more. But definitely, this has given a chance for the planet to sort of breathe. And I do see in the denim industry, this will continue from the conversations that I've had with brands. They're not letting up on their sustainability
Yeah,
initiatives. And if anything, I see more dedication and more efforts.
I think that's such the obvious things to do, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
they'll just double down, and I think the ones who come out of this really well will have done that, and probably have been doing that for a few years as well.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but on the birds, we've got so many birds outside, and obviously it's spring.
yeah.
Um, uh, just outside, we have some swans and six cygnets, and they're very, very protective. And we may have sailed a little bit too close the other day, and
Oh,
yeah, one of the big swan went for my baby.
oh no.
Yeah. So that was very, very scary.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to sit on the balcony and look at all the wildlife and birds that I've never noticed before.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely
Yeah.
changes. So what else have you been doing during this time? I mean, do you feel obviously the clapping hands has taken quite a bit. And for people who don't know you, you do not have an entire PR team.
No.
You are sometimes I always thought, oh, he's got people there helping him out, running
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything. But Ian Barry does not have a hired PR team to manage everything that he's doing. And that's what makes it so authentic too. But what other projects you had mentioned? You had some
Well,
changes.
well, earlier on, just out of almost necessity, I started the behind closed doors, or the stay behind closed doors, which kind of seems so like old now.
Yeah,
Where I was doing some photo shoots, and they all got cancelled because we were going to be in people's homes,
right.
and they were all set to be on the first week of lockdown. So I realized I had a lot of photography friends and friends around the world. So I was like, well, do you want to take some pictures in your home?
Right.
And I started getting them in, and that was to actually work from in Denim, but then it kind of felt wrong, and there were some really, really good photos coming in. So I spoke to the curator of the museum in Holland, and we decided that would show them in the exhibition. With the clapping hands, I've kind of let that slide a little bit. They've been coming in, even like yesterday, I got some new ones, and I think I'm going to go out with the deadline probably in about, what is it, 10 days, around 15th of June, because the magazine's actually going to run quite a
Great.
few of them. So I might actually use that as a bit of a deadline and try and get a few more in.
Yeah.
But we've getting quite a few from the denim community as well. I might end up with a wall of denim, maybe a wall of artists in isolation, and kind of general people and interesting people. And then the clapping hands, and to be honest, I could have an whole museum show if you just printed out all the different locations of the buildings, because it's a little bit like each projection is nice,
Yeah.
but I've come into a world of projectionists and stuff, seeing amazing, amazing things, and mine might evolve into something bigger now as well.
Right.
But the simplicity of it was just quiet clapping hands in the night. So when
Yeah.
I did it around my streets, it was just nice because it just left it on a quiet street. So when people passed, it was just there.
Right.
Whereas now it's evolved into some people inviting people down. I'm like saying, don't invite,
Yeah.
don't invite people down, and don't
Not
have
a
like lots of
social.
people watching it, because after a little while, it's just the same. It's just two hands clapping.
Yeah.
Um, But that's why, I didn't want to make it about me.
Right.
The blue, you don't see the denim really when it's on the street. It looks like medical blue, but then by inviting other artists, it makes it bigger than me. It makes it more inclusive,
Right.
and eventually perhaps it might even evolve from clapping hands to just other artwork from this period.
Yeah. Well, it's wonderful to see how it can evolve. And last time I saw you, which was one of my few trips this
Oh,
year,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was
My
in
birthday.
Munich. We were celebrating your birthday,
Yeah,
and it was nice that you were joining the denim community for that. And now in hindsight, it was great because it's going to be very limited the rest of this year.
yeah.
Um, but I mean, little did we know then that we would be, in lockdown. So from this time, I mean, what do you feel that you will take going forward? Like, what have you been able to reflect on and say, that this is a part of where I do want to evolve?
Um, I think that, as I said, there's been different eras in this time, and I think it's also been different mindsets.
Yeah,
Just to evolve from that staying behind closed doors part was, I think I realized what was in front of me, like, because we're always like looking out, and we might have a lot of things and a lot of things going on, but you always want more.
right,
And with me, I've always, if you told me I'd be this stage 10 years ago in my art career, I would have, really thought, wow, that's going to be amazing. But you also don't know where I could have gone and the opportunities I had and not done. So you're not looking. And I think in the first few weeks, I'm saying I'm asking for other people. I'm thinking I can't get back to LA to do the hotels and my friends' houses that I was going to do.
right.
And then I was like, oh, hang on, I live in a house.
Yeah,
I've got a house. I've got a home. I've got a camera. So that's what I'm be working on what's around me,
right,
rather than always like looking, because one of the reasons I moved back to London was to be around the place that I was actually doing pictures of, because I was in Sweden
right.
and then Amsterdam, and then I was doing work in London, flying in, taking pictures, going back, and then I moved here, and then I was doing like LA, and it's always, I started realizing, is this mentality? I'm always like looking elsewhere.
Right.
So that was definitely one thing that happened. But I think as well, like, social media, we've kind of all, um, we put so much emphasis on it. And, I've started like, when you realize, you say, oh, my real life's really good, but online it's really bad.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
start, you start thinking, well, what's this about?
yeah,
And like the validation of numbers and stuff, and just realizing that, like, sometimes I was like trying to do things to do things online
right.
when those were actually could have only just brought more opportunities of work. But then I was like always dismissing work. So I was like, well, why don't I just focus on doing work and that kind of thing? So yeah, I don't really know how I'm going at, but I think it's made me realize, this time I think we've all gone onto social media more because of just the times that it is,
Yeah,
where I
yeah,
think we're all missing that human interaction a
right.
bit.
I know the human
I think that's
interaction
where I
that
was going.
that we had when we were in Munich, and to see
Yeah,
everybody at a big party like that. But I think to your first point of, and I always felt too, I was like, I have to get on an airplane to go somewhere to do something.
yeah,
And now figuring out new ways of working, or I don't think I've spent this much time in my home for years, because it was always go, go, go. And sometimes you can find what you need right here without having
yeah,
to keep going.
yeah.
And it's been interesting. I mean, even these Instagram live chats that we're having, I never used Instagram live before.
No, I
So we
didn't.
figured we figured out new ways of connecting with people, during this time. So that's another part of it. But Ian, really congratulations. You've done such a wonderful job. So I want to ask you one final question. If there was one building that you wanted to see your hands clapped on, what is the one building?
Um, Interestingly, they backed out.
Okay. Okay, then the
Um,
other one building.
no, so I mean, there was a place, and that was New York.
Okay.
Simply because I think one of the powers of doing it at the beginning when I was making it, I was speaking to Cara. They were all talking about how the clapping was every night. It was passionate and very
Yeah.
full of energy. So I thought a lot about that, and it shows how much I work. That if I was on a phone call with Cara, that means it's 12 o'clock here and it's 7 o'clock there.
Yeah.
And other phone calls, and we're saying, oh, I'm gonna have to go and do the clap now, and leave
Yeah.
the phone and then come back, and you hear it. And then I was getting sent videos. So I wanted it in New York. It was in Boston
Right.
last week, and it's been in other American cities. And it was just about to go up in New York, but obviously, I advised them to stop.
Right.
Not for safety reasons, but for for context and climate and mixed messages and things.
Right. Right.
So let's maybe there's still time, because with everything that's going on, I think we still can't forget the people on the front line.
Yeah.
Because the sad thing here, when you see the pictures of all the people on the front line who have died, it's every single race, every single demographic.
Right.
And that's been the humbling thing about all of this, is it's affected all of us. And that's one of the reasons I picked Doctors Without Borders as a charity to back, because they've been going into, I can't remember, 56, I can't remember how many different countries, and helping. They've gone into American communities as well,
Yeah.
Italian, and it's had no borders.
Right.
And it's yeah, and I think we're not going to get over it if there's countries out there that are going to suffer for years with it.
Yeah.
We've all got to come through it together, because otherwise it will just keep spreading and going around.
Right. And we still don't know what is yet to come. So I see some suggestions here on where it should be projected. Holly saying the Brooklyn Bridge. We have the Taj Mahal. I was thinking the Empire State Building.
I was
we're
thinking the
thinking
same
big
as
here.
you. Yeah. So about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I was talking to someone in New York, and they came back with a phone call and said, yeah, we've got some buildings, and I've got a projectionist, and it ended up falling through.
Yeah.
But at the time, because I actually really liked the ones on local streets.
Yeah.
Like in small residential streets, because that's where people live. I live very close to Canary Wharf. I didn't really want it on, say, Canary Wharf, because it's linked to finance, and that juxtaposition. It was just like, that's been such a difficult argument in this time, when you can see celebrities saying things and doing things, or financial institutions, and the juxtaposition, if it was on Canary Wharf,
Right,
which is such a financial thing, people are saying, well, they've got all the money, but the doctors haven't. So there's many different arguments going on. So I've been quite sensitive where it went, but most of the time I didn't know where it was going as well.
yeah,
I
yeah.
use the
No, it's
example. I woke up one morning and it was on my rival soccer team's football stadium. So
oh boy.
I think if that gives any kind of indication of me not always knowing where it was going to go, I
Yeah,
think that
yeah.
was
That
it.
was it. That was it. So,
Yeah.
but Ian, thanks for your time today. I know you want to get back to doing some of your creative work. You've got all
Yeah.
that denim there that you showed us in the beginning. And
Yeah.
so thanks again for what you're doing.
No, thanks for having me.
We'll put the links on the video afterwards. So if anybody
Yeah.
wants to
Yeah.
donate, and I know you're very accessible if people have other ideas of where to project the clapping hands.
Yeah. If anybody has a projector, if anybody has anywhere to put it, but it's even it's not just a projector. It could be it starts to go on digital billboards. There's it's now on a pin badge. It's a mural. I had a mural made last week. So it has a lasting legacy on a doctor's surgery in London.
Yeah.
And there was a lenticular print, so it actually moves. But
Cool.
I haven't really launched that yet.
Yeah.
There's all these things which is like always keep waiting to launch, to try and pick the right moment, and
Yeah, endless ideas. So thank you. Stay well, and
Yeah,
best
you
to the
too.
family. I'm going to sign off with my little Tencel mini Jean. So
Yeah. So because is that the one that Motion was involved in?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because
Mohsen was behind
I
this.
saw him
Yeah.
online the other
So
night.
yeah. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
No,
Thanks
thanks for
everyone for
having me.
joining. All right. Take care.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Ian.
Bye.